You don't just have a physical body, you have a physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional body. Each one of these aspects are a body of its own. Body does not just refer to a physical substance. You have a mental body for thinking, an emotional body for your emotions, a spiritual body for your energy in your astral form, and a physical body to encapsulate all of these. Each four of these aspects are essential for the human experience and essential to balance. Now, today we're going to be syncing the four aspects of your consciousness with the four seasons and the four elements and how this ties into the Bible. So we have four physical elements. We have five elements in total, spirit being the most important, but spirit is pure invisible. We have four physical elements. We have air, fire, earth, water. Air and earth, sorry, earth and water are feminine. Air and fire are masculine. Air and fire are active. Water and earth are passive. The air corresponds with the mental body of consciousness. This is where your intellect, this is where your communication, this is where your thoughts, intuition all comes from. This is the mental body of consciousness that allows you to think, allows you to process, figure things out, and have intellect and gain knowledge. This is your intellectual aspect of your consciousness, located in the head region. We have a fire nature, a spiritual nature. This is our astral body. Our astral body is all to do with the subconscious realms, the higher realms of consciousness. This is the body that allows us to be free from the physical body. Our spirit is more of our energy. Our energy. Water is our emotional body. This is what allows us to feel things, that allows us to gain intuitive feelings of conscience. So, emotion allows us to understand what is right and what is wrong. When we feel something bad, we know that this is wrong. When we feel something good, we know that we are doing good. Emotions are a creational force that allows us to feel certain things to bring them into existence. Our emotional body is a creational force and should not be reactive, and they should be controlled. Most actions are stemmed from emotions. Actions bring thought into physical existence. Emotions are the driving power. They are what drives your actions. The thought, then the emotion, then the action. Earth is your physical body. This is your physical state that allows you to take mind and emotion into action, into fruition, into physical matter. This is what your physical body allows your consciousness, your soul, to interact with the physical world and bring things into physical existence. The physical body, the physical world, is an outcome and an effect of the thinking mind. All physical substance comes from the thinking mind. The pen, the phone you're holding, the microphone I'm speaking into, all began as a thought in the thinking mind, then it was brought into physical reality. Earth is the most dense. So it goes in this order: body, emotions, spirit, mind. The higher you go up, the more lucid and fluidic it becomes. The lower you go down, the more dense and dull it becomes. Air is the mind, fire is the spirit, water is the emotion, earth is the physical body. So this is why you are a microcosm. You have these four things within you. You contain of these four elements, which correspond to the four bodies of your consciousness, the four bodies of the soul. You are the soul. You are the spirit. So this is why in Theologians 4:17 it says, "Caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." You don't meet God or the Lord in the physical air, in the clouds. You can't, this is clearly a parable. A human being cannot go up to the clouds and meet a mystical man in the clouds. This is obviously a parable, a metaphor. The air is your mind. You must raise your consciousness beyond the body, beyond the emotions, beyond the spirit, and enter in the mind during meditation, turning the mind inward to connect with the Lord. The Lord is the highest aspect of your consciousness, the one that exists beyond the physical body, beyond your emotions, beyond the thought. So you meet the Lord in the air, in the mind. The mind represents the air. This is why in America there's a saying called an airhead. You're an airhead. This means that you are stupid, or you don't think, or you have nothing in your mind. You have nothing in your head. When someone's very stupid, you call them an airhead, because air represents the mind. The air is elevated. The air is invisible. The mind is totally invisible to the human eyes. It is a metaphysical substance. In fact, it's not a substance at all. It's so fluidic, it's everywhere. The mind can be everywhere at all times. It can be anything. Nothing is impossible within the mind. Now, this is synced with the 4 seasons. The 4 seasons represent the 4 aspects of human consciousness, the 4 bodies of your consciousness, the 4 bodies of your soul. The sun is your soul. Okay. And the sun travels around 4 seasons. Summer, when the sun is the most hottest point. Autumn, when the sun starts to move away from the hottest point. Things start to die. Then it goes to winter. This is when everything dies. This is when things enter in within itself. This is when darkness occurs. Then spring. This is the reignition of the sun. This is when the sun starts to bring back the warmth back to the summer. You have 4 seasons, which correspond to the 4 bodies of consciousness. Fire is the spirit. This is when you are passionate. This is when you are taking action. This is when you are fiery. The sun is blazing. You're taking action. You're very passionate. You're very spirit. You're in the spirit. Autumn is water, emotion. This is when you start to become very reflecting. This is when you start to feel emotional. Because in autumn, there's lots of water. This represents the emotional body of consciousness. Winter is the mind. This is air. Winter, what happens in winter? Everything enters within itself. The leaves die, the trees die, everything dies and goes within. This is the mind. The mind is the darkness, remember. You close your eyes to enter within the mind. The winter represents meditation. In the winter, what do people do? They stay inside of their house. They research more. They read more books. They become more intellectual. They think more in the winter because we are so we're stuck inside. So we're more reflective. We're thinking more. We're more communicative. We're more intellectual. In the spring, this represents the earth, the body. This is when we start to come out of the mind and we awaken to the body, and things start to grow again. The plants start to grow. The earth is growing again and reborn again. This is the body. This is when you become more active in the spring. And then the summer, back to the summer, we then take action on these thoughts and these thoughts that we gained over the winter. Essentially, this is just a massive cycle. And this is a daily cycle also. The nighttime is the winter. The morning is the spring. The midday is the summer. And the evening time is the autumn. This is a microcosm. We have 4 bodies of consciousness. You are the sun, you are the soul, and the soul has 4 bodies: summer, autumn, winter, spring. Emotion, air, body, spirit. Sorry, emotion, mind, body, spirit. So you are the soul. You are the pure essence of consciousness. The sun is your soul in the heart. And the seasons are inside of you because you are a microcosm Okay, you are a microcosm. The word sun is son. The Latin word for sun is sol, which is soul or solo, because the sun is solo. It's on its own. You are the soul, and the soul has the 4 different bodies of consciousness. So before we move on any further, if I've blown your mind, please, if you can, leave a like, a comment, a share, and a subscribe. Let me know what videos you want me to make in the future. Please drop a like. It definitely will help me. You are a microcosm of the macrocosm. Man is a miniature universe that goes through its own cycles. The seasons of the summer, winter, spring, and autumn do not occur merely outside of him, but within him as well. The summer is within you. You feel different in the summer. You feel different in the winter. You feel, depending on the body of consciousness, your soul's interacting with. So the sun in the sky is your soul inside, and the sun goes through these cycles, which is affecting your bodies of consciousness, because the cycles represent your bodies of consciousness. Now, this ties in with the Bible. This is why we have 4 gospels. This is why Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are always seen with the 4 different zodiac sign animals or symbols. So you always see each one of the gospels. If you just type in on Google Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, type in ancient pictures, paintings, or pictures of them, and you will find these 4 zodiac signs are always standing with each one. Taurus, the bull; Leo, the lion; Scorpio, the eagle. An old symbol for Scorpio was the eagle, and a man for Aquarius. Here you see very, very ancient paintings and artwork. Here we see Matthew, the man, Aquarius. Here we see John, the Scorpio. Same here. We also see it on the tarot cards, on the world card. We see the 4 fixed zodiac signs. Here we see it as well. These are called the 4 fixed zodiac signs. Now, when we look at the zodiac, we're no longer looking at the sky, because what you must understand is as above, so below. What is above you is inside of you. What is above is what is below. What is outside of you is within you. The zodiac is inside of you. The zodiac revolves around the sun. The sun is your soul. These are different energies of your soul. Like I said earlier, the 4 seasons are the 4 bodies of your consciousness. And in each body of consciousness, you have these different energetic energies that you can work with. Okay, so this is the true astrology. This is the true astrology, the internal esoteric astrology. You can't find much information on this at all. Very hard to find. So what we're looking at are the 4 bodies of consciousness. Obviously, when you look in the middle of each, when we look in the middle of each season, spring, the middle of spring is Taurus. The middle of winter is Aquarius. The middle of autumn is Scorpio. The middle of summer is Leo. These 4 signs are known as the 4 fixed signs. Okay, Scorpio is fixed. It's the middle of autumn. Scorpio is a water sign, emotion. Aquarius is the air sign, the mind. Taurus is an earth sign, the body. Leo is a fire sign, the spirit. This is why we see Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John with the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, which represent the 4 bodies of consciousness. Leo, the spirit, fire. Luke, Taurus, earth, body. Matthew, Aquarius, air, mind. John, Scorpio, water, emotion. Each gospel is depicting Jesus and showing Jesus in each gospel. Each one of these gospels is showing and depicting Jesus according to the different body of consciousness. In John, This is when Jesus starts to turn water into wine. Water is emotion, wine is transmuted emotion. This is when he does miracles with his emotions, water into wine. Aquarius, which is Matthew, air, the mind. Inside of the Gospel of Matthew, this depicts Jesus as an intellectual person, a person who's communicating and using his mind, his mental body a lot inside of the Gospel of Matthew. Go and read it, and you will see this. Luke, Taurus, earth, the body. Luke shows and depicts Jesus according to the body of consciousness, the physical body. He shows Jesus as a human, being a human being, helping people physically and helping people's physical needs, like giving away food and doing all sorts of good things for other people. Leo, Mark, inside of the Gospel of Mark, this shows Jesus as a spiritual teacher, a passionate person who is taking action. Each gospel is showing Jesus according to the different body of consciousness. And Jesus represents you, the Son. That's why it's called the Son of God, the light of the world. Jesus represents your soul, and your soul has these four gospels, the four bodies of consciousness, the four fixed signs, the four elements, and the four seasons. These things all correspond to your consciousness. So this is Leonardo da Vinci showing you the exact same thing. Jesus is the I am, the Son, the soul, in the middle, on his own. Luke, spring, earth, body. There are three people in each group. There are four groups, and there are three people in each group. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Fall, winter, summer, spring. These are according to the four bodies of consciousness. Here we see Aries, which rules the head region. He's on the head of the table. Gemini, he's holding up the two hands because Gemini rules the two hands, the two arms. Gemini is the two twins, which is the two arms and two hands, and the two lungs. Here we see the beginning of summer, which is Cancer. You see the big knife here. Cancer, him here, this gray-haired guy, holding a knife for the crab. Cancer, they pinch. You have a knife, symbolizing the crab. Leo, the middle of summer, showing dominance. The sun is very dominant. He's got his elbow on the table, showing dominance. Virgo has no Adam's apple. Cancer here is pointing at this woman's neck, saying there's no Adam's apple. This is Virgo, the virgin, the only woman. Jesus, the sun. This is Libra, the balancing. He's holding his arms out, balanced, showing the balancing of the sun. Because when the sun enters Libra, the sun is balanced between winter and summer. So it's balanced. This is all astrology, but this is internal. Okay. This is Ezekiel's vision. Ezekiel had a vision in the Bible, and he saw the face of a man, the face of a lion, the face of an ox, and the face of an eagle. The eagle is Scorpio, the ox is Taurus, the lion is Leo, and the man is Aquarius. He saw the throne of God, and he saw the different bodies of consciousness. This is all symbolic for the different bodies of your soul. So when we look at the zodiac, we are actually looking at a map and the energies of our soul, and the energies of our bodies, and the energies of our consciousness. This is what we are looking at. Each zodiac is an aspect of our consciousness and an energy that we can work with and that we must purify. Balance and purification is essential. Imagine playing a brand new video game. Let's say a brand new video game came out and you had to play it. What happens when you play that game? You don't know the controls. You cause chaos in that game. You can't really run properly. You can't do anything properly. You're getting destroyed by other people who are playing that game. It's the same with your physical body. When you are born, you must learn how to play the game. You must learn how to balance the mind, learn how to balance the spirit, the emotions, and the physical body. We must balance and purify each body of our consciousness. We must look after our physical body with our physical health by eating physical, electrical food like fruits and veg. We must look after our minds by being conscious of what enters our eyes, enters our ears, enters everything. Whatever enters our five senses is affecting our mind, our mental health, our environment, mental. We need to look after our thoughts, control our thoughts by purifying our thoughts, only positive thoughts. Then we must purify our emotions, feeling only gratitude and love and not feeling these negative, dull emotions. Then we must look after our spiritual body through meditation and looking after our spirit. But remember, when we look after our mind, it all begins in the mind. Each body of consciousness is interlocked with the other. If you have a if you have an unhealthy body, you have an unhealthy mind, spirit, and emotions. If you have an unhealthy mind, you have an unhealthy body, spirit, and emotions. If you have an unhealthy emotions, you have an unhealthy spirit, mind, and physical body. They're all interlocked. You must balance each one of them. Look after your physical body, look after your thoughts, look after your emotions, look after your spirit. But remember, the mind is the most powerful one. It's mind over matter. Once we look after the mind, because once we start to control our minds and control every thought we think, this will then turn into discipline in our physical body. Because once we learn how to discipline the mind, we learn how to discipline what we eat, we learn how to discipline what we feel, we learn how to discipline our spirit. You are not breathing correctly. 98% of people only use a third of their lungs capacity, which is shallow breathing, which ages you, lowers your brain capacity, and also lowers your state of consciousness. So it's essential that you breathe consciously on a day-to-day basis, because this is what truly elevates your consciousness. I am going to give you the key for you to raise your consciousness just through breathing alone. Such a simple thing, but yet the most effective way for raising your state of consciousness and becoming more spiritually and mentally advanced. So tune in for this video and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it and the symbolism behind breathing. Air is more than just air. It carries electromagnetic energy. So now I'm going to give you the science behind this spiritual truth. This invisible force is what sustains all physical life, providing the life force energy essential for existence. Electromagnetism. Everything is fed off electromagnetism. Your body is an electromagnetic battery. Now, we can prove that air carries electromagnetism just by doing a simple test, a simple scientific experiment, by getting liquid oxygen and pouring it between a north and south magnetic pole, two polar opposite magnets. We see that the liquid does not fall straight through it. It is sucked, it is magnetically attracted to these two opposing forces, opposing magnets. This is proof that air, liquid oxygen carries electromagnetism. When you are breathing electromagnetism, the essential life force behind all living beings. This is known as energy or prana, chi, ether, or spirit. This is all the same thing. Air is not just empty space. It is energy. It is prana. It is life force. It is spirit. It is ether, chi, prana. You are an electromagnetic being. Your consciousness is in direct correlation with your electromagnetic aura or biofield around your body. Your state of consciousness is mirrored within this field around your body. Now, your breath, when you breathe in, you're breathing electromagnetism or life force. Breath is the vital link between the physical and the spiritual, bridging the body with the soul. Through breath, we connect with both tangible world and deeper, the unseen realms of energy and consciousness. Breathing deeply and properly elevates our consciousness, enhancing the brain's functions, heightening the sensitivity of our five senses. It also brings a profound calmness to the mind, creating a state of clarity and inner peace. Like I said earlier, breathing properly is the fastest way to elevate your consciousness. It is the fastest way because breathing, when you stop breathing, what happens? You lose physical consciousness. Your body will shut down if you do not breathe in this vital electromagnetic energy in the oxygen. If your body does not get this for 5 minutes or however you can last without breathing, this makes you lose physical consciousness. Your body will not survive without this essential life force energy. Therefore, air is one of the most overlooked things. This is why we see the symbolism of Buddha having a big belly. Why does he have a big belly? Because it's symbolizing breath work, proper spiritual breath work, the certain teachings of breath work, of when you breathe in through the nose, you have to breathe in through the nose. You don't want to breathe in through the mouth because the nose acts as a filter which catches dust particles and filters out the air before it enters the lungs. The mouth does not do that. The nose is for breathing inward. We breathe in through the nose, and when we breathe into our belly, not our lungs. When we breathe into our belly and our belly expands outwards, we are then moving this energy down from the nose down the spinal column. And when we breathe back out, the belly goes in, which is raising the energy up the spinal column, back out through the mouth. This is the true way of breathing, because when we breathe, we are moving energy. We are moving electromagnetic energy. When we breathe in through the nose, the energy travels down the spinal column. And when we breathe out, we are raising this energy back up the spine, some of it going out the mouth, and some of it reaching the brain, activating dormant brain cells in the brain. But when we breathe, we need to make sure we are using 100% of our lungs' capacity, because the lungs is what transforms this special energy into consciousness, physical consciousness. So this is why Buddha has a big belly. It's not because he was fat. It's not because he was overweight. It's symbolism. It's symbolism of breath work. So try this. Do this for 2 minutes while you watch this video. Breathe in through the mouth as hard as you can until you no longer can fill any more air into your lungs and belly. Breathe it into your belly, not your lungs. And breathe out through the mouth. Do this for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, however long. I promise you, breath affects your consciousness. You will notice the difference. If you do it quicker, the quicker it'll affect your consciousness, and you might go lightheaded. But that lightheaded is you activating your spirit, your energy body. So try this just when watching this video. When you breathe consciously, you are renewing both your energy body and astral body, aligning your consciousness with a higher state. This practice feeds new life force energy into the body, revitalizing and enhancing your overall well-being. Like I said, your brain requires the most amount of oxygen. When we have shallow breathing, this is reducing the brain's capacity. Because when we are not breathing properly, which 98% of people are only using a third of their lungs' capacity, we are essentially only using a third of our consciousness, because your breath is directly correlated to your consciousness, your state of consciousness. When you breathe in through the mouth, out through the mouth, out in through the nose, out through the mouth, consciously and deeply for 5 minutes, you will notice that your senses are more powerful and sensitive. Your brain is quicker. What's the word? It processes information quicker. You become quicker. You become a superhuman, and you feel more spiritual because it activates your spirit, your astral and energy body. So when we meditate, it's definitely important to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth as deeply as possible to align with a higher state of consciousness. And this is the easiest way to separate your consciousness from the body. When you breathe in deeply for long periods of time, while meditating, while taking no thought, when no thought is present and you gain a rhythm of deep breathing, this is the gateway. This is the gateway to opening your consciousness. Because when you stop thinking, other aspects of your consciousness can open up. All of our lives we've been thinking, which has blocked off the higher states of consciousness. So breathing is very, very important. It affects our overall well-being. And this is Yahweh, the in and the out of breathing. When we breathe in, this is Yah. You can hear it. It sounds like Yah. And when we breathe out, that is Way. This is the name of God, apparently. But God is within you. You can connect with God. You can connect with source consciousness within you by breathing, by raising your state of consciousness through breathing and meditation. This is why the Bible tells you the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. You are consciousness. You are God. You're an extension of God's consciousness. Job 27:3. As long as my breath is in me and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils. The Spirit of God is through breath. John 20:22. And when he said this, he breathed on them and said to them, receive the Holy Spirit. The word spirit means breath. In Greek, Hebrew, Latin, it all means breath or wind or air. The Holy Spirit is a certain way of breathing, a breathing technique that elevates your consciousness, that syncs you up to a holy consciousness, an elevated state. That is the Holy Spirit. That's why it tells you in the Bible, when he said this, he breathed onto them. He breathed onto them and said, receive the Holy Spirit. You must breathe to receive the Holy Spirit. When you breathe, you are renewing the body's energy. You're taking in new life force, which is regenerating your cells, regenerating your brain, nervous system, and also connecting with consciousness, pure consciousness. This is not something that we should be doing during meditation. Yes, it is. We should be doing it during meditation, but this is something that we need to apply all of the time. This is the fastest way you can raise your consciousness. Matthew 21:1, Jesus went into the temple of God. Corinthians 3:16, do you not know that you are the temple of God? Now, what is this telling you? That God is within you. Hence why in Luke 21:12 it tells you the kingdom of God is within you. And the side of your head region is called a temple for a reason. Because the brain encapsulates the mind. The brain is a physical manifestation of the mind. The heart is a physical manifestation of emotion. So we have these different layers of our consciousness. We have an intellectual, communicative aspect of our consciousness, which we would call the mind. We have an emotional aspect of our consciousness, which is the heart. And to communicate with the divine, it's all to do with the mind. Hence why the ancients always symbolize the mind being God. This is why Michelangelo always placed God inside of the brain on top of Sistine Chapel in the middle of the Vatican. He understood that God is in the brain. God is within you, not outside of you. The church tells you that God is in the sky because they are creating a externalization of the truth to create a business and a distraction so that you don't find the divinity within you, so that you don't find your power. Now you have Adam, the physical man, the physical body, the ego, the lower self. And he is resting. He's not trying to reach to God, but God is reaching because the higher consciousness within you is always trying to communicate with you. It's always trying to wake you up to your divinity. But the lower mind, the lower self, Adam, The physical self is always in ignorance of truth, always in ignorance, and stays in a materialistic way of thinking, which is the lower animal self. And this is what we call a sleep or an NPC. This is the lower mind of man. But all you have to do is to move your finger to touch God. You have to look within yourself, within the brain, meditate, and you can find God. This is why in the Bible we see many references to the human body and anatomy to truly connect with God. Kings 6:8, the door to the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, which is the right hemisphere of the brain. The middle chamber is the pineal gland, where the seat of your consciousness is, where the seat of your higher consciousness is, the mind. And they went up the winding stairs, which is your spinal column, into the middle chamber, and out of the middle chamber into the third. So they went up the winding stairs. This represents raising your consciousness up the winding stairs. Your spinal column acts as a stairway of consciousness. Depending on what sort of consciousness you are operating in, depends on what part of the spinal column you are using. Because the spinal column ascends and descends consciousness. What do I mean? If you are in a reproductive way of thinking and you're always thinking about sex, you're jerking off all the time and you're always eating, all of your brain's power and your mind's power is being descended into the lower aspects of the spinal column, which represents hell, the physical state of man, Adam, the ignorant state. We're basically living off low-level pleasures like an animal. And the stairway to heaven is your spinal column. They went up the winding stairs into the middle chamber, which is your mind, your pineal gland, and out of the middle into the third stage of consciousness, physical, etheric, astral. When you meditate and you start to raise your consciousness during meditation, you enter the astral plane when you turn off thought. But this is the middle chamber inside of the brain. Here we see another painting inside of Sistine's chapel of God inside of the brain. This is the brainstem. This is the brain. This is the frontal lobe. This is the back lobe. This is the back lobe. This is the cerebellum. Here's the reptilian brainstem. Here's the claustrum. This is what we are seeing here. Anatomy. Here is another one in Sistine's chapel in the middle of the Vatican. This is depicting the brainstem. God's neck looks exactly like the brainstem. Here we see a real brain compared to God's neck, because the neck is just below the brainstem. And this is what they are symbolizing, because they knew that God is within you. God is a part of the human body. God is inside of the body, because the body is a vessel for consciousness, for universal consciousness. Inside of you, inside of me, is the same spark of consciousness. And this same consciousness is spread out into every living essence, because everything comes from the one source, the one God, the one consciousness. Matthew 6:22-23. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Practicing the single eye. What is this? This is meditation. This is entering within yourself. So the Bible's telling you to practice the single eye. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. What does this mean? If your consciousness is in an evil way of thinking, if your mind is filled with an evil, negative mind space, then your body shall be filled with darkness, with evil, with negativity. Because negative thoughts destruct the body. Positive thoughts heal and regenerate the body. So he tells you to be, the light of the body is the eye, your consciousness, the inner eye of consciousness, the eye that lets you see. And what do I mean? You look with your two physical eyes, but you see with the inner eye. What you see is perception. You look with the two eyes, and what you see is perception. You are seeing, you are understanding, and that's what consciousness, the mind, gives you. Consciousness or the mind is the force that allows you to be a human being, that allows you to understand things and interact with things and make decisions. It's an infinite intelligence. See, the mind is not the brain. This is a big confusion with people. Hence why the eye on top of the pyramid is separate from the bottom half of the pyramid, because the consciousness is separate from the body, the eye, the all-seeing eye. It represents the observer, the eye that sees into this body, into this world, into this. You are the perceiver. You are the invisible spirit within the body. Theologians 4:17. After that, we are still alive, and will be our left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. You don't meet the Lord in the physical air. Okay? This symbolism of the ancient Christian artwork is showing you this is symbolic. These things never happened. There's no man in the sky. Moses didn't go on a mountain to meet with God. The air represents the mind. This is why you say you're an airhead when someone's very stupid. Earth is your body. Water is your emotions. Fire is your spirit. Air is your mind, the invisible mind. So Anton Mengs, an ancient Christian art worker, is showing you anatomy of God in the clouds. But this is anatomy of the human body, raising yourself to the mind and turning the mind inwards on itself during meditation. And that's how you meet the Lord in the air. You meet the Lord in an elevated state of consciousness. The air represents an elevated state of consciousness because the air is up. You have to raise your consciousness to meet the Lord in the air. This is why Moses went on a mountain to meet with God. The mountain represents elevation of consciousness, raising the mind up the spinal column, taking all of the mind's attention away from the reproduction and the physical aspects of self and raising it to the brain and turning off the brain and going inward into the air. It's talking about raising consciousness. It's allegorical. It's a spiritual, metaphorical text. The side of your head's called a temple because inside that where that temple is, right in the middle of where you call the temple, is the inner chamber, the open room, the holies of holies in the Bible, or the land flowing with milk and honey, or Mount Zion. There's so many different names for the brain, or the upper room where Jesus meets his 12 disciples, the 12 cranial nerves in your brain. This is the temple of God. Your body is a temple of consciousness. It encapsulates consciousness. It encapsulates the mind and soul. John 10:30, Jesus states, I and the Father are one. Psalms 46:10, be still and know that I am God. He's talking about the I am within you, not within Jesus. Everyone refers to ourselves as I. I am God. When you say I, you're referring to the highest aspect of yourself, the aspect that is above all thought, above all emotion, and above all things. When you say I, you're referring to your pure awareness, your pure consciousness, the highest aspect of yourself. And anything after I is egotistical. I is God. The letter I is the Roman numerals for one, because there is one God, one consciousness. The letter I is one line, just like the number one. Matthew 6:3-4, take no thought. Therefore, take no thought. Take no thought. He says this 5 times because you must turn off the 5 senses and take no thought to connect with God. Be still. This is telling you to meditate and know that I am God. The I am within you. I and the Father are one. I and God are one. Who you think you are, is a uh, completely wrong. The body is matter. Your name isn't you. Your job isn't you. Your reputation, your trauma, your memories, your friends, family, worries, bills, interests, dislikes, goals, passions, anything to do with the thinking mind is not you. Who you think you are is a part of your thinking aspect of consciousness. But once you remove thought, you are no longer your name. You are no longer your body. You're no longer your reputation. You are the I. You are pure awareness, pure consciousness, pure consciousness. And this pure consciousness has latched on to this name, this job, the body, and your traumas. Your pure consciousness has attached itself to this character who you're playing in the physical world. And this is essentially who you think you are, but you are not. You are the I, you are the self, you are pure awareness. So, in order for you to detach from these things, you must learn how to detach from your name, your job, your reputation. And you do this through meditation by turning off the thinking mind. Turning off the thinking mind allows other aspects of your consciousness to open up. What do I mean? Your whole life, you've been thinking, and all of these thoughts has attached you to this physical body. You haven't allowed your consciousness to open up. And you can only do this by taking no thought. That's why Jesus tells you, take no thought. When you turn off the thinking mind, other aspects of your consciousness starts to open up. Other aspects of your being can open up. And this is how you have astral project. This is how you do all these mystical things and things to do with consciousness. It's taking no thought. Imagination, emotions, thought, and memory are all to do with consciousness. These things are not physical. You can't touch thought. You can't touch emotions. You can't touch these things because they are not a physical thing. So you must turn off these things for other aspects of your consciousness to open up. Okay. So essentially, the Bible is a metaphorical, astrological, numerological, metaphysical, spiritual, encoded text that talks about human anatomy, spirituality, and the true nature of the human experience. Everything they teach you in school is to make you think that you are this body. Everything they teach you in church is the externalization of the true teachings of Jesus. Jesus was telling you to meditate. Jesus was telling you to practice the single eye. Jesus was telling you to look within yourself and find God. He wasn't telling you to pray to him. Mark 16:19, he was taken up to heaven and sat at the right hand of God, the right hemisphere of your brain. John 21:6, cast the net onto the right hand side of the boat and you shall find fish. Fish is understanding. The boat is your body, your brain. Cast your awareness into the right side of your brain and you will find understanding, because the right side of your brain is all to do with the creative aspect and the intuition and the spiritual sides of your consciousness. This is why God is here. This is why Michelangelo depicted God in the right hemisphere of your brain, because this is all human anatomy. And I speak about all of this in the brand new Book of Wisdom, Volume 2, which is now available. The start of the revolution has begun. This book is truly going to change the way people see the world. It's got so many new more topics than the last one. It's truly a revolution. It's written in so much detail. It's very practical. I cannot wait to share this one with you. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for me to create this book, because without you, I couldn't have created this. And I just love sharing my work with you. And I thank every single one of you for the support, the watch, like the views and the likes, everything, especially the people who have joined the university and stuff like that. And for people who have joined the university, You do get a free Book of Wisdom paperback if you just go to the general chat and follow the description, follow what the instructions that I gave you in the chat, and you'll be able to order a free Book of Wisdom if you are inside of the university. Plus, you get all of my other books, 2 books, and over 45 occult books on occult and esoteric things. You get lectures, live calls, a community, a manifestation mastery course, and a whole library and reoccurring updates every month, every week. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all. Please leave a comment to help the algorithm and leave a comment on what videos I should make. And yeah, I'll get to uploading on the YouTube a lot more now the second book is now released. I have a lot more time on my hands. No longer using my energy to create the book. I'm now going to redirect this mental energy into the YouTube. So there will be a lot more content coming. So I need some content ideas. So feel free to comment some ideas, some YouTube videos that I can create. Thank you all, people. Have an amazing day. In this video, we're going to be talking about the evolution of consciousness. You are born human, however, you possess consciousness, which is the awareness behind your being, the awareness behind your thoughts, the experiencer behind your 5 senses, the experiencer, the observer behind your thought, emotions, and senses. You are an eye, an invisible consciousness looking through a lens which is your body. Your body produces this physical world that you experience. Your brain produces this world. Your brain and body is a technological computer. However, you are an infinite, ever-expanding consciousness behind this physical body. And there is an evolution of consciousness, a cosmic journey of expansion. And this is why we see so much pyramid symbolism in the occult and esoteric world, and especially within Freemasonry. Because the pyramid represents climbing, an evolution, a raising state of consciousness, a journey. Steps symbolize a journey upwards. This is the raising and the evolution of consciousness, our inner world. The transmutation of our inner selves, of our souls and consciousness and our minds. So when we see this pyramid, we're seeing a evolution, a way up to source consciousness. And the eye in the pyramid represents your source consciousness. It represents illumination. It represents divine guidance through this evolution of consciousness. This is why we see the ladder. Consciousness is ever expanding on an infinite journey of evolution. Each individual is a part of this cosmic process, contributing towards the ongoing expansion of both mind and awareness. As we evolve, we collectively explore deeper levels of existence, expanding the boundaries of thought and consciousness. The mind has the ability to expand infinitely into new realms of thought, into new dimensions of mind. The mind cannot be filled up. It is not a physical substance. The body can be filled up because it is a physical thing, but you cannot fill the mind. Therefore, the mind is constantly expanding, ever expanding into new fields of thought. So what we see in Freemasonry, the ladder, is again a journey, an elevation of consciousness. When we are born with an infant consciousness, and as we gain older, we gain an adult consciousness. Our inner world, our inner mind, and our emotional intellect changes and evolves. We are significantly different from when we were very young as an infant. It's because our consciousness evolutes, it changes, it alters like water. So just like this evolution of your own consciousness as growing up, there is consciousness of beings existing in cycles beyond our own. And their consciousness is unimaginably different from ours. They operate on a higher level of understanding and knowing. experiencing reality in ways that transcend our current comprehension. Our minds right now cannot comprehend the highest states of consciousness. There are entities, there are beings beyond our own, existing in higher dimensions of consciousness that we cannot comprehend because they have expanded. They are on a further way up the ladder of consciousness. However, we are all on the same journey. None of us can take the same journey. There is one ultimate goal, reaching source consciousness. However, this is always ever expanding. However, we are all on a different journey. There is one truth, one source, one goal. However, there are billions in different ways of reaching it, and we are all on these different paths to source consciousness, to this ladder, this evolution of universal evolution. Okay? Their awareness is attuned to new dimensions of existence, reflecting a more advanced stage in the cosmic journey of consciousness evolution. So when you take DMT, you are shot into these higher realms of consciousness where you meet these beings who look similar to these images. They are not speaking to you physically. They don't speak to you three-dimensionally through vibration and words. They speak to you mentally. If you have done DMT, then you know this. And if you have met these beings, then you know this. You might have even met some of these types of beings on mushrooms or any psychedelic drugs. Because ultimately, when you take these mind-altering substances, it's altering your consciousness. It's merging your consciousness with the spirit of that substance. And you are essentially attuning your mind to higher dimensions of consciousness. That's why we say we're getting high when we take these substances. Therefore, when you meet these beings on DMT, you are essentially meeting beings who are attuned to higher dimensions of consciousness, and they speak to you mentally. They speak to you telepathically through thought, because the universe is mental. Everything exists within the mind. The way you are now, your physical existence, is a state of mind. Mind, thought creates matter. Spirit and matter are two opposing ways of thinking. If we have a very spiritual mind, we have an expanded mind, we are a spiritual person through the mind. However, if we have a very low state of consciousness where we think about food, sex, lust, and all physical things, then we have a physical consciousness. Matter and spirit are two opposing forces, two ways of thinking. The mind attunes itself to different levels of understanding in different dimensions. So, essentially, this is what we're looking at. The body is a vessel for the fluidic, formless consciousness, a temple that houses the essence of our awareness. While the five senses are limited to perceiving only the physical plane, the mind transcends these limitations, capable of perceiving the full scope of reality. It is through the mind that we access deeper truths beyond the material, tapping into boundless nature of existence. Physical existence is a thin band, a thin layer of reality. It's like 0.001% of reality. And your five senses are only tuned into this layer of reality. But the five senses are, by design, only allowed to perceive physicality. But the mind has the power to expand beyond this physical five sense state. The mind has the power to expand and evolute. It is a conscious decision whether you want to take this path or not. You can stay in a three-dimensional way of thinking, or you can expand your consciousness from within. It's not an external journey. There is no God going to save you. You must save yourself. Therefore, behind every single one of these eyes is the same source consciousness. However, we are all different cells in a different journey. The organs in your body, the cells in your body are all alive. They all possess same consciousness, universal consciousness. However, we are all on a different journey of evolution. As above, so below. As the baby is in the mother's womb, when the baby becomes conscious, there is a world outside of its mother. What does it do? It presses and seeks a way out to be born in the other world outside of its mother. It is the same with your consciousness, your mind. When your mind becomes aware that there is realities beyond the immediate surroundings, it seeks a way out. And this is exactly what I'm doing to you now. I am now expanding your mind and telling you there is other ways of reality. There's other dimensions of consciousness which you can access through inner transmutation, through different ways of thinking, spiritualism, and meditating and connecting with yourself and detaching from external things. We can upgrade our consciousness. Your body is a womb. Why Jesus says you must be born again to see the kingdom of God, because you are born physically and then you must be born again spiritually, awakening your inner consciousness. So like I said, as the baby is in the womb, it's the same principle. As above, so below. You were a baby, you were in your mother's womb, and you figured out there is a world outside of your mother, so you seek to weigh out your mother to be born in another world. It's the same now. You must do this now. This is your spiritual evolution. This is the evolution of consciousness. It's ever expanding. When you die, this is a transition. You must learn to not fear death. This is another part of your spiritual journey. You must master death. Therefore, like I said before, the mind has limitless capacity to expand into new realms of thought, continuously exploring uncharted ideas and concepts without boundaries. The mind can ever expand. It can never be filled. It can never ever know everything. There is infinite fields of knowledge, infinite fields of thought. Your current state is just one stage on an infinite pathway. You won't remain human forever. The human experience is a crucial phase where we learn to balance polarities, master the fundamental laws of the cosmos. It is a period of growth and transformation, preparing us for the next stages in our cosmic evolution. The goal is to strive for perfection, yet the true perfection is unattainable. It's like a tunnel, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And as you walk through this tunnel, the light is ever moving backwards. You should forever seek to meet that light, but you will never meet that light because consciousness is ever expanding. You should strive for perfection, yet knowing that perfection is forever unattainable. The journey is endless, with each step revealing deeper layers of understanding and experience. The pursuit of growth and expansion is itself the essence of our evolution. You can find all of this knowledge in the amazing book that I have read for years. I have read this book, The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean, by M. Dorial, translated by M. Dorial. I'm telling you now, this book, now that I've told you this, you have some context on the book. The whole book is about evolution of consciousness. He's talking about higher dimensions beings. He's talking about how you can transcend this physical plane. It is truly the most amazing book you will probably read. One of the best spiritual texts you'll see. It's hard to understand, so you must read it over and over again. And the more your mind progresses, like for me, I read this every couple months. And the more I learn about consciousness, the more I expand my own consciousness. And every time I read this book, I pick out something new that just completely blows my mind, because you can only understand this book to your level of consciousness, to your level of understanding. So now that I've told you all this information, go and read this book and it will absolutely blow your mind. And so will the Book of Wisdom Volume 2, which is now available. I released it the other day. I'm just going to read a page out now. This page is called Spirit and Matter. The Earth is not merely a dense, lifeless rock drifting through space. It possesses spirit, a living essence that animates its form. But what do we mean by spirit? Spirit in esoteric terms refers to the energy, the life force, animating the principles infused in matter. So essentially, what this page is talking about is how everything has spirit, consciousness within it. You are the middle, you are spirit and matter. You have the ability to expand your mind to the God self and raise above our animal instinct, our material self, and know the divine and expand. Animals cannot do this. Animals are not self-aware. Humans possess self-awareness. We can observe our consciousness. We can say, why do I exist? We can look in the mirror and know that we need growth. And this is what Anunnaki means. Anu means above. Anu was the supreme god of the sky, which is a metaphor. He represents spirit above, heaven. Anu came down to earth and married Ki, the goddess of the earth, which represents matter. It's a myth, it's an allegory. Anu married Ki and gave birth to the Anunnaki. Spirit came down and infused with matter and gave birth to the human, which is you. You are spirit infused in matter, Anu and Ki, Anunnaki. You are the Anunnaki. And this is what just one of the teachings in my book. Honestly, this book is absolutely amazing. If you truly, truly want to expand your consciousness, give this book a read. And obviously, if you're inside the university, I give you this book for free. A paperback version. If you join the university, follow the steps inside of the general chat. You'll be able to download this book. Or, sorry, not download it. Order a paperback for free. All you have to do is pay for the shipping. You'll also gain amazing knowledge inside of my library, where your mind will just be overblown with the amount of esoteric books. There's over 45 rare occult books, plus you get a PDF of the Volume 1 and Human Health Guide. You get reoccurring updates where I expand on symbolism, occultism, where you will just feel absolutely amazing once you understand esotericism in yourself. You'll also learn how to create the dream reality that you want with the Manifestation Mastery course, where I teach you how your consciousness creates reality. You'll have a real lectures where I post lectures on symbolism, occultism, esotericism. There's a conscious community and live calls and Q&A where you can ask me questions and I'll answer your questions. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined the university. Thank you for even liking and watching this video. Any support I just appreciate every single one of you. Please, if you can, leave a comment and a like on this video and let me know any videos you want me to make in the future. And I will start uploading a lot more to the YouTube. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in today. Have an amazing day.